Welcome to Indy's Real Estate Gurus. I'm Rick Ripma, your hardworking mortgage guy, and I've been in mortgages and real estate for over 34 years. I have helped over 5,200 folks finance their homes. My team and I believe in custom tailored loans, not the one-size-fits-all approach. We believe there is a right mortgage for you, and we believe we are the team to deliver it.
And I'm Ian Arnold, part of Rick's hardworking mortgage team. I've been in the financial industry for 15 years, helping customers rebuild their credit to get the best possible interest rate. And I have a passion in helping you secure your overall real estate dreams. And with me, hopefully you pay off your home even faster.
And for any questions on the Indy's real estate market or mortgages, please go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. Or you can call us at 317-672-1938. That's 317-672-1938. And today, Ian, who are we?
Oh, we have a lovely lady. She came in and she jumped up the stairs and ran right in here because she was excited to be here.
After she found us.
Yes. Laura Musall with FC Tucker. She came in here. She's like, I am here. And I was like, so we congratulate you for finding us.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
So before we get into the real estate part, let's talk about what did you do before real estate?
How far back do you want me to go?
You tell us.
Well, where'd you grow up?
Oh, I grew up in northern Indiana.
Okay.
North of Lafayette in a little town called Wolcott.
Okay. So you're a Hoosier.
I am a Hoosier.
All
Lived
right.
in Indiana my whole life.
Awesome.
But I have had interest. I've been fortunate to have a very interesting careers along the way. I started out as a journalist, and if you would have told me 30-some years ago when I graduated from IU that I was going to be a realtor, I would have probably laughed because I don't even think I knew any realtors back then. But I wanted to be a newspaper reporter, and I was for many years. And as I look back to where I am today, I think all of these different careers or jobs I've had probably brought me to where I am now. I'm a big believer in things happen for a reason.
I agree.
And I think about as a newspaper reporter, I mean, you have to be comfortable talking to people, but really listening to people. And I really learned a lot about that. And I learned just about human behavior as a reporter. You learn a lot about people. And from there, I went into public relations, and I worked at Citizens Gas for several years. Okay. And I was their spokesperson and did communications, but I also did some of their helped in some of the redevelopment efforts. Like that was back, I don't know if you remember back when Fall Creek Place
Yes.
So Citizens Gas was a big partner, and I learned about development and public-private sector development, and that was very interesting. And I missed writing for publications, so I became a real estate columnist for Indianapolis Monthly.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow, that's cool.
So they had me go out and find a house that was interesting, see it, write about it, and they gave me a few dollars. And I mean, literally just like a few dollars. But it was fascinating to me to go see all these different houses in different neighborhoods all around the city. And then from there, I went to a public relations agency. And because I had this background writing about development and houses, I was kind of like their real estate person. So I worked with commercial and residential. And then I became a residential realtor.
It's kind of like a natural progression.
See, it sounds like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just like boom. You were guided to be into real estate, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It seems like that's how it happened.
So where did you go to school for journalism, or did you?
Indiana University.
Okay.
In Bloomington.
My wife did too.
Yeah.
That's what, and she did. She was a journalist also.
Oh, great.
She just never really used it.
Okay. I did, and I still do.
I'll bet. Now, I'll bet how much. There's got to be huge value in having that ability to write.
Yes, there is a big value in being able to write quickly. I started out in sports, and so you go cover a high school game, and then you'd have to have it written that night for the morning paper, and that really taught me to write fast and think quickly, and it does help to be able to write.
Yes.
And I'm not, pecking away at I can type too loudly, according to my husband.
You don't type with two fingers?
I don't.
I didn't know there was another way. And so you grew up in a small town. What was the town again?
Wolcott.
All right. So how long were you there?
My whole life.
Your entire life.
Yes.
So
My
how
entire
is
life.
that as how do you see that helping you in real estate? I'm guessing it has to be. It doesn't?
I lived in the same house my whole life.
Wow. Okay.
Growing up. But, I mean, growing up in a small town has a lot of advantages. I mean,
Yes.
there were no fast food restaurants. There wasn't a lot to do. So you have to be creative.
So you cause problems.
Well, I'm not saying that. I said that.
So how did you, when you got into real estate, how did you get moving? Because a lot of people have trouble with that. They get in and they flounder for quite some time. So how did you figure out what to do and how to do it?
So I think this goes back to my whole career in journalism. You have to think quickly, and I'm also a bit of a risk taker. And so and I'm not afraid to talk. So I would tell people this is what I'm doing. And luckily, I had a colleague at the time whose parents were looking to relocate here from St. Louis. And he said, maybe you could help my parents. And I'm like, sure I can. So, I mean, I had a sale pretty early on, and I started in 2007, which probably the smartest career decision. But during that time, I thought, if I can make it out of 2008, 2009, I mean, it'll be okay. And there were some struggles, for sure, during that time.
Yeah, but having a purchase right off the bat had to help. But how else did you get clients? You had to have some other way to get.
I talk a lot.
You just talk to people.
I
Who would
talk
have
to
thought
people.
You just have to talk to people.
I talked to people, and I did a ton of open houses. And I think because I'm pretty good at talking to people, I got a lot of business from open houses.
Okay.
People would come in the open house, I would talk to them, and then we'd go out and look at houses. I've rarely sold houses at open houses. People think you sell houses at open houses. It doesn't happen that often. But yeah, I got my name out. I talked to people, and that's how it started.
Yeah.
So did you start? I know you were Tucker. So did you start with Tucker?
I did not.
Or how did you find your way to Tucker, and why did you choose them?
So I was with another brokerage in Fishers, and someone was at Tucker and wanted to start a team. And I was pretty new, and it's expensive to start in real estate. And so I decided to join someone else on a team. And I really liked that. One of the things I love about Tucker is that it's one big organization in the city. So I can go to any office in the city, Greenwood, Fishers, Nobles, anywhere, and I have a key that goes in. They're all set up pretty much the same way. I can go anywhere, which is awesome. And I love the easiness of that. I don't like a lot of systems. So I went there and was on a team for a few years, and then about 10 years ago or so, I went out on my own.
Awesome. And how did the team, when you're getting going, how valuable is that to have somebody who's a good, solid team with a good mentor? How valuable can that be?
Oh, I think you can't even put a value on it. Just when you become a real estate agent, it is really very much a sink or swim kind of thing. I mean, I don't know what the latest statistic is. At one time, it was like 3 out of 10 agents will make it a year.
Right. It's very low.
It's very low. One is because some people think it's just a whole lot of fun all the time. It's just all going and looking at houses all day, and it's a lot of fun. But there's a lot more to it. So I think having someone that's on a team that has experience helps you know how to do that open house, or helps you know how to go out and talk to people about the market.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things. It's it's so important to have that team and have a mentor. Mentors kind of make everything, because you like you said, 3 out of 10 are all that make it. But we after 3 years, it's like 80% have left,
right,
or 90%. It's just
right.
An amazing amount of people who just don't make it, and a lot of it's because they just don't know how. They don't know what to do. And I think a lot of it, a lot better than I do, but I think a lot of it is that misconception of what real estate actually is and how hard it actually is.
I do think there's a misconception about that. And I wish the schools would talk more about how it really is. I mean, I don't think I'm in sales. I when I have to check like on a box, what do I do? Like sales is one of them. I don't think I'm in sales. I think I'm in communications and therapy. I don't think that they teach you enough about how much you have to be a therapist or pretend you're a therapist.
Yeah.
Now, I do joke with clients that I do not do marriage counseling. But
I bet you have at times. Kind of.
Oh, I've had, he calls me and then she calls me. And I had one time when someone called me and said, hey, don't tell my husband that he is not coming with me to this next house. So, those. So you just have to maneuver all of those kinds of things, which they don't teach you that, nor I don't know that you can teach everybody that. And not everyone is comfortable being in that kind of position.
Right. And isn't it where a lot of people think it's all fun? Like you had said, it's all fun. But not every house is everybody happy about that they're buying or selling, correct?
No. I mean, it's stressful. It doesn't matter what kind of situation you're in. Moving is stressful. Yep. And sometimes people are moving almost always because of some kind of life event. I had to help someone move one time. It was heartbreaking. Her husband had passed away. There wasn't enough money for her to maintain the house and to stay there. I mean, it was heartbreaking. Yes. And you have to have a lot of empathy for that. It's not just about getting the house sold. It's about how do you help them navigate everything. Right.
Yeah. It's so much. That's why we don't consider it sales really. I mean, yes, it is, but it's more relationship. It's how you and having somebody with empathy and has been doing it a long time and knows how to help you through that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd call it more of an advisor role, just because look, we're just going to assist you and tell you options and tell you what the next steps are. Now, if a hurdle comes up, all right, let's show you the ways around this hurdle and keep on going. I mean, sales almost, I think, in most fields with the internet has gone out the windows. If people want to learn, all right, well, how much is my house roughly worth? All right, well, you can roughly look, and there's probably 12 different sites that'll tell you a range of what your house is worth. All right, cool. But now what do you need to sell the house? All right, now when you go into the house, hey, you might want to update this, or you might want to change the color of this wall or something like that. That's an advisor role.
That's absolutely right. Yes. I mean, most people are pretty educated about the market. Mm-hmm. Sometimes everyone thinks their house is probably worth more than it is. That happens a lot. But you're right. It's an advisory role, and it's a role where you help them. You figure out what is their goal. This is how I approach it. What is your goal? Right. Then let's figure out a plan to get you there. Is your goal to sell it fast for the most amount of money? Is your, whatever your goal? What's your time frame? What's your goal? And then let's figure it out from there.
Yeah. I think too, when you're talking about the market, or like Ian was talking, yes, you can look up a lot on the internet, right? I can look up how to build a dresser. That doesn't mean I can build a dresser.
That's right.
Okay? But they can show me, but that doesn't mean I can do it.
Right.
And I think it's the same thing with real estate. I don't know why people think, well, if I look it up, I know what to do. Or with mortgages. Okay, you get a range of value. After being in this a long time, and you probably know better than I do, it doesn't matter what I think the value of the property is. The only thing that matters is what somebody's willing to pay and what the appraiser says.
Absolutely.
That's all that matters.
Right.
And so you just, and an overpriced home can kill the sellability, right?
An overpriced home will sell less overpriced than it would if you would have just gone at the right price going out.
Yeah, that's something that most people don't get. It's kind of counterintuitive, but it's actually very true. And especially in the markets that are really hot. Mm-hmm. I hear, because then it gets a bad rap. People think there's something wrong with it.
Right. Well, and people have this perception in the market that we live in now that you're going to pay over list price. So if you list it too high, they're already thinking, wait a minute, I've got to pay this plus, and it's not worth that.
Okay. So that's
I think that happens a lot too.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, real estate's very psychological. There are lots of psychological things involved in it.
Yeah. That's why you need a professional.
And yes. Thank you.
And how would you get a hold of a great professional named Laura? What was the easiest way to get her?
Well, you can call me 317-702-0058 or text me that same number or email me at laura@talktotucker.com.
And to get a hold of Ian or I, it's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. Or you can call 317-672-1938. That's 317-672-1938. And thanks for listening to Indy's Real Estate Gurus. The gurus we interview share valuable insights. They reveal their strengths, personalities, and how they'll work for you. While we hardworking mortgage guys secure your best mortgage, real estate gurus work hard too. They avoid problems the amateurs they don't see. They listen and they find unrealized opportunities. If you're buying or selling a home, a real estate guru is a valuable asset. If you're even thinking of buying or selling a home, keep listening and definitely call one of Indy's Real Estate Gurus.
All right, so let's take a sidestep from real estate really quick.
Okay.
Let's learn, if I were to take away your phone and tell you cannot work for 24 hours, and after you get done in the fetal position crying because you don't have your phone, as most realtors do, what do we catch you doing for fun?
Is wine involved?
Whatever you think is fun.
Red or white?
Well, I have an interesting, I think it's interesting, little side hustle. I and a longtime friend of mine and I design pajamas and now sportswear for women who have hot flashes and night sweats.
Oh, wow. There's got to be a big market for that.
Yeah. There are lots of women who are very hot, especially on days like today. So, I'm in my 50s and started having night sweats and was complaining to some friends. And someone said, you should just start your own company. And I was like, okay, I think I'm going to. And did some research. And, so we launched that in 2019. So you would find me doing that. You might find me hanging out. I have grandkids. I might hang out with the grandkids.
That's awesome. So when are you taking this company to Shark Tank?
I know. I've been asked that question. Okay, so I did do a Shark Tank what was it called? 1 minute or something? A pitch show. And I won this pitch show. It was on Bloomberg TV.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you win, though?
A bunch of...
pajamas.
No, I sell the pajamas. No, we won some money, a little bit of money and different prizes. And they said I won tequila, but that hasn't shown up yet.
That's the real reason why she went there.
Yeah. We won advice, lots of different, entrepreneur advice, coaches. So it was great.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I know you mentioned your team earlier. So I hear you have a very interesting, what we call him, a coworker or a assistant. What do we call him?
My husband.
Oh yeah, that works too.
Yeah, after a 30+ year career working in the engineering field, he was a draftsman, doing all kinds of big, interesting projects around the city. He retired and decided he would join me on a team, and he just started. He just got his license this summer, but he's already been to a closing. And he showed a house for me one day when I already had a meeting. And, I think it's going to be a great asset to the team because he has a background in construction and engineering. And even before he got his license, I would consult with him on new builds. I work with a lot of people building. It wasn't that long ago I had someone, and it looked like something was not right when you go and look at a house before the drywall goes in, it looks totally different than you would think.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, I don't know if this looks right. And my clients thought it looked kind of funny, so we had him come out, and he's like, oh, that's not even a load-bearing wall. You shouldn't worry about, So that kind of stuff is going to be very helpful to know what we need to worry about, what we don't, understand things, educate people.
So are you mentoring him?
Yes.
If so, how is he taking that?
Well, we've been married 35 years, so he's pretty clear.
So he just
on
listens.
How? Yeah, he
He
knew
already
what he
knows
was
who the
getting
boss is.
into.
All right. So are you looking to add other people, or how is your team right now?
So my first team member is Travis Webb. And Travis has been a longtime friend, and I've helped him and his husband sell and buy several houses. And then he decided he wanted to become a realtor, and I knew I wanted him to be part of my team because he believes, like I do, that we are out there to help people find their right house or sell the house or get to where they need to be. And so he joined me about 2 years ago, and that has been a great part of the team. I have someone else who is going to get her license later this month, so we'll be expanding a little bit more.
That's awesome. And if somebody is out there listening, they may want to contact you for real estate or maybe to be on your team. What's the best way to contact you?
Email me at laura@talktotucker.com or text me at 317-702-0058.
So 317-702, what was the rest of that?
0058.
0058. Okay, yeah.
He has Alzheimer's at his age, so sometimes you just got to let it slide.
Nice.
The truth hurts sometimes. It's the truth.
I don't remember what you said, so I don't care. So what is your superpower or superpowers? What would you say they are?
Oh, gosh. I knew you might ask me that question, and I
ask everybody. I
have
love
been
this
struggling
question.
with that, what my superpower is. Okay, I think I'm a problem solver. I mean, I'm that annoying person that if you're at the grocery store and you're trying to figure out between like what you're going to buy, I'm just going to be like, hey, Rick, this is the better one. I like to solve problems. I like to give people advice, whether they want it or not. I don't know, is that a superpower or annoyance? That might be an annoyance.
It depends on the situation.
It can be, but anything can. I always found your strengths are your weaknesses too.
Well, that's probably true.
So I would say can go
I like
both
to give
ways.
people advice.
Yeah, but you also I got to think your background in journalism and all of that have made you a phenomenal, like you said, question asker, because that's my wife being a journalist. She can ask 50 million questions, but then also because you have to write about it, you got one of your superpowers has to be you have a better ability to listen to what people say than most of us.
I don't know how I compare. I think I'm a good listener. I think I am good at being able to take a whole bunch of information and kind of pare it down to what's really important.
Yeah, and that's really important. To be able to take, because it's kind of like a problem question, and I remember when my kids were going through, and they would get these problem questions, and it's like, get rid of all the crap that makes no difference, right? And that's what you're doing. You're just solving the problem. People build. I'm sure when you're helping somebody with a house, there's a lot of extra stuff in there that you can peel away.
Right. And and being able to ask questions, being comfortable asking questions, I think that's important. I'm not really afraid to ask people questions. And sometimes people will say, I get this a lot, they want a big yard. But then when you do drill down, instead of just saying, okay, big yard, let's put in the search, half an acre or more. Well, when you get down to it, it's not really a big yard that they want. It's privacy that they want. So I think you do use those kind of interviewing techniques to find out what the real motivators are.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, I'll relate it to one day I was going to go interview a processor, okay, and the girl that knew the person set it up for me. She goes, he's really tall, okay, and I said, okay, what do you mean by really tall? Well, he's almost as tall as you. Okay, so if I go out looking for this person, I'm looking for somebody really tall, taller than me, because I don't consider myself really tall, right?
Right.
So it's the same with if I say I want a big backyard, it's relative, right?
It's all relative.
And obviously, and it's more than that. Like you said, it's why.
Right.
It's
really the why.
It's the why.
And the why is I want to be able to barbecue on my backyard and not see the neighbors.
Yeah.
And so that changes everything.
Yeah, and there's different ways to accomplish that.
Right. There are lots of different ways.
Yeah.
And then when you're looking to help them think through, okay, I love everything about this except, well, let's just think about what can be changed and what can't be changed.
Right. Now, do you ever have anybody who tells you they absolutely have to have a big yard, and then they fall in love with a house that doesn't have a
All the time.
I figured that.
All the time. Yeah. And I think it's important. I'm working with someone right now. They're trying to think about, should they downsize? And I say, let's talk about what your priorities are. Just 3. If you have to narrow it to 3, what are they? And then those may change once you go look, but at least start thinking about how you live.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
I don't know if most people do that.
Think about how you live in your house. And a lot of people tell me, well, we never use this room. Well, then why do you need a house that's the same square footage? Or square footage is also relative.
Yes, it is.
When people will say, I have to have a 2,500 square foot or 3,000, whatever it is. Why? What is it you want? Because how do you live? Okay, do you need it for certain things? Then we can look at that. I had someone one time that wanted a room where he could smoke pot, which privately. So then that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
When you know what they need, then you can help them find it.
Right.
But all right, so I know with the journalism background, I'm kind of curious. So how do you compare your describing listings? Like if you're describing a house compared to other people, do you is yours just fantastic or?
My goal in communication is to provide information to people that's easy to understand. And so I don't use a ton of adjectives or make it flowery or try to be cutesy. People aren't trying to be entertained when they look at an MLS sheet. They want to know the basics of the house that's important. Is the kitchen updated? Is there a walk-in pantry? I am very bare bones specific about things. Now, I am getting ready to list a house, and I did put in the description that the owners are OCD. And I only did that because these sellers really are OCD. I mean, if there's a nail pop, they go take care of it. And I just think that's an important thing for people to know about the previous person.
Wow. Yeah. Could I invite them to my house?
Yeah.
Why? They'll have a heart attack.
Could use some nail pops fixed. I have plenty. So if somebody wanted to get a hold of you for any real estate needs or to be on your team or talk about getting into real estate, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Laura at talktotucker.com or 317-702-0058.
And to get a hold of Ian or I, go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com, or you can call us at 317-672-1938. That's 317-672-1938.
All right, so now we'll get into the question of the week. And the question of the week is sponsored by, Rick and I, the Hardworking Mortgage Guys, where we believe in helping and supporting you and your realtor by sending constant updates through the loan process. Nobody likes to live in a black hole, so we do not allow it here. All right, so here's probably the hardest question we'll ask all day. What was your first car?
A Pontiac Sunbird.
Was it the T-top one? Or is it?
It had a sunroof that leaked.
Nice.
Yeah, that's how they put those in.
Mm-hmm. And it was a 5-speed.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the year?
I don't remember. I think it was maybe 83, 82, 83.
Yeah. Yeah, I sold cars for 5 years. Pontiac was the first store I worked at.
Okay.
And my father-in-law bought a Pontiac Sunbird, and he let me use it when I got into new home sales. So I remember those cars very well. They're nice little cars.
It was a nice little car.
Got decent gas mileage. I mean, comparative, got great gas mileage then, and they were fun.
Right.
Now, did you have anything interesting happen with that car?
Well, yes, I did. IU won the national championship the year I was in Bloomington.
Okay.
It was icy.
You were down there with my wife.
Yeah, it was icy, and I had a little fender bender on a hill as we were going to celebrate.
Oh, okay. Did you still celebrate?
Yes.
It didn't damper your celebration?
It did not damper the celebration. The people that hit me took off very quickly, probably because they should not have been driving, but it did damper the celebrations a little bit. But I still remember Indiana winning the championship.
Yeah, that's awesome. That was a big time. My wife tells me there were people swimming in the
fountain.
Yeah, that's what she always
I did not
about.
swim in the fountain.
She said she saw you there.
We have video.
Yeah, now you would have video.
Back then,
there's no video. Nobody had a phone or anything to take video with, so it didn't happen.
So what do you think that separates you from other realtors?
Okay, this is an interesting question. So a couple years ago, I decided I needed to update my website. And you would think, as someone who has a background in writing, I could just write my own website. But it's very difficult, as you guys probably know. It's difficult to market yourself or to write about yourself. So I ask a writer to write my bio for me on the website. So she interviewed me. I gave her names of clients to interview. I didn't tell her what to ask them. I didn't ask them to say anything. And it was humbling and interesting and insightful all at once when she sent me the article. And what stood out was that people said, it's like working with a knowledgeable friend. And I thought, okay, that's kind of what my demeanor is, but I didn't realize that that's what people would talk about. And I do think that kind of drives me, that I don't look at, when I'm working with people, as a client or a customer as much. I don't even, most of the time, I don't even feel like real estate is working. It's kind of like I'm just going to go hang out with friends and see their house and tell them what they need to do, whether they want to hear that or not.
She likes that.
I like that part. And I think when people look at houses with me, we try to have fun, but I also try to be that trusted friend that you would call and say, what should I do? And, if they say, I just love this house. I remember one time this young couple, they loved this house so much. And you have to be able to say, I know you love the kitchen. It's a beautiful kitchen. It's a great house, but it's right on the highway. And this is not probably the best investment for you. And I'm willing to do that, even if it means not getting the sale today. And I don't know if everyone is like that.
No, I think that's huge, because when I purchased my first home, our realtor walked through the house and she mentioned those same type of things. It's like, yeah, you don't want this house. You want to think about this, this, and this. And it's things that, especially as a first-time home buyer, you have no clue what you're even getting yourself into. So that is nice to have that perspective and actually to give it. Some people keep it just to themselves and it's like, I can sell this home. Or, hey, let's find them the right home.
Right. And, people don't always buy the house that you would choose, and that's fine. But I feel good at the end of the day if I say to them, and sometimes I have been known to say, okay, I am going to go to mom mode right now, because I really hate for people to make a bad decision. Yeah. Or sometimes they just don't think through things. Like, if they have two houses they really like, and one of them has brand new carpet, but it's not in a neighborhood they love, but the other has gross carpet in a neighborhood they love. You know what? You can never change your neighborhood.
That's right.
You can change the carpet.
Yeah.
So let's figure out a way to get the carpet, and let's find out how much it really would cost to change that out.
Right, because it's impossible to change the neighborhood.
Impossible.
Yeah, can't do that.
You could buy the whole neighborhood and then just have.
Okay, it's not impossible. It's unlikely and kind of out of the price range, probably. So what do you see owning real estate? How does that benefit a person or a family?
It's an investment. And there's this a more sense of pride when people own their house as well. But it really is an investment over time. Let's just take 2009 and 10 out of the market. But, people that bought houses 5, 10, whatever years ago, the amount that they're able to get now is a great investment. And even if you own property, a second home, it's rare that someone goes wrong in real estate unless you just have made a bad decision and bought on swampland.
Right. Well, even back in 2009 and 10, if they held onto those houses, they're worth a lot more today than they were back then.
Right.
We tend to get so focused on what's happening right now, but if they just held onto them, it's just like stocks. Mm-hmm. If I hold onto my stock, if they're losing money and I hold on to them, I don't lose any money until I sell them.
Right.
And normally, if you hold on, it comes back. Now, you may have things that are a better deal and you might go somewhere else. But anyway, I think that's something people have to look at. But it seems like there's just so much it's the value is obviously dollars, but then like you said, it's also that when you live there, you own something, and that can change their lives. Correct?
It can change their lives. And then, for most people, when you're owning, you also feel like you're part of a sense of, there's a sense of community that is really hard to come by if you're renting in an apartment and your neighbors are moving every 12 months.
Right.
I think there's a lot to be said for that, of being part of a community.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the biggest things. And I think that it matters. In fact, it's why a lot of times they don't want too many rental properties in a neighborhood, because it's just not taken care of as well, and people don't care as much. Now, we've had neighbors in ours that they rented the house out a few different times, and we've never had that problem, but I can see how it can easily happen.
Right.
Because it's just like renting a car. You don't have the same sense of caring about that car that you rented.
Well, you're not going to invest in it.
Right. No, you're not.
You're not
going
to invest in improvements.
No. So, what are some of the misconceptions that you see that people have about what a real estate agent does?
Well, I think there's one misconception that all we do is show houses all day, which some days that is all I do but there's so much more that is part of real estate. It's responding to inspections. It's helping sellers find contractors. Sometimes it's setting up contractors. It's working with title companies and working with mortgage companies. I mean, that's big. And, on both the seller and the buyer side, making sure that the buyer's lender is a reputable lender that's going to be able to get the deal done. So there's all that kind of research that goes into it, and knowing what's going on in the market, I think, is important. So you spend a lot of time doing all those kinds of things too. Yeah.
And I'm going to, because obviously I care about the lending piece. I care about all of it, but the lending piece, it's what you said. I think a lot of people don't realize that to get, especially in a hot market, if you're financing, one of the things that you need to make sure is you have a reputable lender that other agents know, because the agents and a reputable agent you're working with, because when that listing agent gets an offer, they're going to look at who the selling agent is, right? Who that buyer's agent is, and they're going to look at who that pre-approval's from. Because I have seen where they're even in a listing, they've said, we will not accept a pre-approval from X. I mean, you just have to have to have the right people.
You have to have the right people, and we've all been burned by a lender, and you don't forget the lenders who cannot make it happen, or the lenders who just gave you a form letter and didn't really check anything. So, yeah, especially in a market like this. And if people were using, 1-800-MORTGAGE versus, Advisors Mortgage Group, and it's the exact same offer, the local lender, that's who's going to get it. Right. Or even if it's close, I would be telling my sellers, you got to think about the lender.
Yeah.
And this is a lender that I can go see face to face. This other person, maybe they are a good company, but I don't know, and I can't see them or go talk to them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think all of that, it's not just lending, obviously, it's all of that matters.
It all matters.
And I think it's why it matters so much to have a great agent working with you. And I think it's okay to have a newer agent as long as they have a good team and they have mentors that can help them walk through. But you need first of all, you need a great agent. You have to have a great agent. I just don't know how to get around that.
No, I just see so many people who decide they're going to work with someone because they were nice, or someone, I just had a story, someone tell me this. They were referred to an agent because they lived down the street from a relative. They didn't know anything about that agent except where they lived. And that's really not the first criteria on deciding on an agent. And when the whole deal was done, it was not a good situation. Now, maybe it could have been a good situation. I don't know if you have the right, but you've got to ask questions.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. So let's say you have a client that moves to Alaska. I assume you're not flying to Alaska to show homes. So if they're looking for an agent, what type of questions should they ask the agent to make sure they're the right one for them?
So So if I have a client that's going to move to Alaska,
Yep.
I ask them if they want me to interview them for them.
Okay.
Because I'm not afraid to ask them the questions, and I kind of want to see how they answer the questions. They could also ask the questions, but I don't think it's how many listings do you have. That's not the question to answer. It's what do you do if the appraisal comes in low? What's your process? How do you work with appraisers? How do you work with lenders? What are you going to do for me? What steps are you going to take? How do you some agents just set up a search and wait until the buyer calls them and says, I want to go see this house. Good agents are out looking and are out talking to people and will call you and say, we need to go see this house.
And I think great agents like yourself and have been around a long time, you know all the other agents. So you have a knowledge of what's going on because of your sphere in the real estate industry, correct?
Sure. I know a lot of agents. There are a lot of us. I don't know everybody, but I know a lot.
Right. Yeah, but I think that matters.
Yeah.
So what do you think one of your most memorable deals was?
Okay, so that first deal I told you I had when the couple moved here from St. Louis, last week they closed on that house. That was very memorable to me because I remember helping them try to figure out what neighborhood. I mean, I was so new then. I remember being in the car, we'd go to each house, and I would have to look at a cheat sheet on how to open the lockbox. That's how.
You were new.
Oh, my gosh. And so when they called me to let me know that they needed to downsize, I mean, that was meaningful to me. And then for them to, they love that house so much. That was a really memorable deal.
That's awesome. So let's go into, so you have your full team and everything. You're looking at growing it over time. So over the next 5 years, what do you see, like your vision plan?
I don't really have a vision plan. I probably would fail. I would fail the sales training classes probably. I don't know. I don't look at it in terms of, hey, I want to sell this much each year. I just don't look at it that way. I think I am focused more on, I'm just focused more on the day to day, like just doing what I need to do, doing the right thing. I don't know. I'm not answering that question very well,
No,
but
you're right.
I don't see that I want to have a team of X number of people because it's just really not about the number of people. It's about developing the right people together to support each other. I mean, I love knowing that I will have, that I have people that I can count on to help me out, that I'll trust them, that they're going to do, show houses and give people advice the same as I would. That's what's more important to me.
No, I mean, I agree, especially when you're talking about how to grow your team. You want the right people.
Right.
So, I mean, it's hard to put an exact number on it because you never know that one person. You might say, oh, I want 5. Well, then that one person comes in, you guys hit it off. They're great with clients. You're like, no, now it's 6.
Right.
So
you just don't know.
To get the right people is what's fantastic. And I agree. Rick and I had the same thing. We don't really look at numbers throughout the year or something. I mean, there's sometimes you put an artificial number, but our whole philosophy is take care of the customer. The numbers will come. And
right.
That works. I mean, it's the same way you seem
right.
like
you said it much more eloquently than I did. That's what I do. That's what I do. And it just seems to work.
That is awesome. So what are you, as I'm drawing a blank in my head, goodness.
What is your favorite thing to do as a real estate agent? Favorite part of the job?
I love, this is going to sound corny, but I do love meeting with people and getting to know them. And there are just so many fascinating people that live around us. I love that part. I like looking at houses. I do like looking at houses. It just never gets old. For my husband, it gets old because I go look at houses and I'm like, hey, we're going to change some things in our house because I just saw this really cool tile
but
and I'm going to need it.
not turning the air conditioner on.
But we can't afford the air conditioner because I'm always remodeling something. I love meeting. I do love that aspect of knowing people and connecting people. I mean, I've work with people that you just never know what they've done, and then all of a sudden you find out they were a food photographer, or they do this amazing fiber textile art, or I mean, they have a podcast. I mean, it's all over the board of what the interesting people I've met, and I love that part.
Yeah, that's what I love about doing this. Really, I just love meeting all the real estate agents and hearing their stories and what's gone on. And like your background is fascinating. You did so many cool things that actually led you right into real estate.
Right.
It was like, this is where you're supposed to be, but you had to do all that to get to the point where you're ready to do real estate. And I just love that part. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you for real estate, or for any real estate needs, or maybe they want to be on your team or talk to you about being on your team, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Call or text me at 317-702-0058, or email Laura at talktotucker.com.
And to get a hold of Ian or I, go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com, or you can call 317-672-1938. That's 317-672-1938. And follow us for more Indy's Real Estate Gurus.
Laura, thank you for coming on the show. It's been phenomenal having you on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It was always fun talking.
Yes, somebody liked talking to us.
Does anyone need advice?
Later.
Okay.
Yeah, Ian needs lots of advice.
Probably off the radio.
Yeah. We're going to put you on speed dial for him.
All right. And for anybody else out there, if you know any friends, family, or coworkers looking to buy, sell, or refinance, contact Rick or I. We'd be more than happy to help you.
Branch NMLS number 33041. Rick Ripma's NMLS number 664589. Ian Arnold's NMLS number is 1995469. Equal housing opportunity. Some restrictions apply.